They thought they had us. Every projection, every calculation, every galaxy-spanning plan, they were certain. They called it the final purge, 99 million humans eradicated in cold, systematic precision. Cities vaporized, oceans poisoned, satellites cascading like falling stars. Every scientist, soldier, and civilian turned to ash or blood. And yet here we were. Earth, a corpse riddled with fire and ruin, still breathing beneath the blackened clouds. Colonel Jack Redding stood atop the twisted steel skeleton of the Arcadia Tower, surveying the shattered skyline. The air was thick with the acrid stench of ozone and charred concrete. He pulled his coat tighter around his shoulders despite the heat radiating from burning wreckage, and lit a cigarette, savoring the bitter sting. "Jack!" a voice called, urgent but calm. Dr. Elara Voss crouched beside a pile of debris, her fingers dancing across a makeshift control panel, eyes alight with feverish purpose. "They're scanning for survivors. Any movement, any heat signature, they'll detect us." Jack exhaled, smoke curling like dark ribbons into the sky. "They scanned for survivors before. Didn't find us then. Won't find us now." His gaze swept the horizon. Alien warships, triangular and impossibly vast, hovered above the planet like predators who had cornered their prey. Tiny missiles hung poised, almost taunting, waiting for a signal to rain death. "They think we're gone," he muttered. "They want us gone," Elara said, her voice dropping. She didn't turn to look at him. "But what we're about to do, they'll wish we had been." Jack grinned, sharp and feral. "And what exactly are we about to do?" Elara's eyes flicked to a containment chamber beside her. The chamber glowed faintly, humming with an eerie pulse. Inside, humans moved, though their movements were more than human, faster, sharper, impossible. They were children of war, forged in secrecy and desperation. She called them the American Boogeyman and the Baba Yaga, names chosen deliberately. Aliens feared myth, superstition, the unknown. Humanity could use both as weapons. "They'll haunt their nightmares," Elara said. "And we'll be standing behind them." Jack exhaled another plume of smoke and crouched beside her. "Good. I like nightmares. Makes them easier to break." Behind them, the wind whistled through shattered skyscrapers, carrying the faintest echoes of screams from earlier days, a chorus of ghosts reminding the living what was at stake. The war had already cost us billions of lives, and yet, in this moment, humanity's fury was raw, untempered, and beautiful in its brutality. A young soldier approached, nerves visible in the tight line of his jaw and the tremble in his grip. "Colonel, we've taken casualties. More than we expected. Is it worth it?" Jack turned, fixing the boy with eyes that had seen fire and death up close. "You think you understand worth? This isn't about surviving, it's about teaching them. About making them remember that humans don't bow, don't break, and never, ever disappear quietly." The boy swallowed, nodding, though doubt lingered like smoke. Jack placed a hand on his shoulder, firm and grounding. "When they think the game's over, that's when we strike. And when we strike, it won't be like anything they've faced before." Elara's fingers never stopped moving. "Containment is ready," she said. "The Boogeyman units are stabilized. Baba Yaga is awake." She pressed a final sequence, and the chamber hissed as energy cascaded over its occupants. One by one, the humans inside rose, their bodies a perfect blend of flesh and engineered capability. Eyes glinting with awareness, muscles primed, every sense sharpened to a lethal edge. They were humanity's revenge made manifest. Jack whistled softly, a low sound that echoed off the ruined towers. "Beautiful. They'll never see us coming." Outside, a distant pulse shook the ground. Alien sensors were scanning. Their warships shifted like living shadows above the city, bristling with weapons that could erase continents. They thought precision and technology could replace instinct and willpower. They were wrong. Elara leaned close to Jack. "They've underestimated us from the start. Always have. And always will." Jack lit another cigarette, letting the ember glow in the darkness. "Guess we're about to remind them why humanity isn't something you calculate on a spreadsheet." In the streets below, automated patrol drones clattered across the rubble, searching for movement. They had no idea that the real threat wasn't the humans who had survived, they were merely the lure. The Boogeyman and Baba Yaga units waited, patient and hungry, for the perfect moment to strike. Each step they had trained, each trial they had endured, had been for this night. The wind shifted, carrying a faint metallic tang of alien tech, a scent that made Jack's teeth clench with anticipation. "They're close," he said. "And when they find out what's waiting for them, they'll scream." A comms crackled, breaking the tense silence. "Command, this is Echo Squad," a voice said, low and urgent. "Thermal readings show multiple anomalies moving through Sector 7. Estimated human count, well, enough to ruin someone's day." Jack laughed, a dry, bitter sound that cut through the chaos. "Echo Squad, welcome to the end of your calculations. Let's give them something to write home about." Elara nodded, her hand resting lightly on the chamber controls. "Once we release them, there's no turning back. This is war as they've never seen it. They've erased billions of humans. They thought the rest would cower. They thought they were gods. They were wrong." Jack stepped to the edge of the tower, looking down at the ruined streets. Broken vehicles, collapsed overpasses, and scorched buildings formed a maze of death. Perfect for what was coming next. He could almost hear the aliens' calculations fail, their confidence crumble. "They'll call us monsters," Jack said quietly. Let them whisper our names in fear. Let them paint our faces in their myths. Because this is humanity's answer." Elara's eyes flickered to the glowing containment chamber. "And they'll never forgive us. Which is just fine." Jack inhaled deeply, letting the smoke fill his lungs, letting the tension settle into a calm ferocity. "Prepare the release. The Boogeyman and the Baba Yaga, it's time they remember what fear feels like. And not just any fear. Human fear. The kind that leaves you alive to regret every mistake you made underestimating us." A distant explosion shook the tower. Dust rained from the ceiling, and somewhere, a human screamed. Or maybe an alien. At this point, it was hard to tell, and Jack didn't care. The stage was set, the pieces in motion. Jack looked at Elara one last time. "Ready?" She smiled, just barely, and pressed the final button. The chamber doors hissed open. The humans inside stepped forward, their movements fluid, lethal, almost unreal. The American Boogeyman emerged first, silent and precise. Then the Baba Yaga, eyes burning with cold fury, followed, a predator unleashed. Jack exhaled, crushed the cigarette under his boot, and muttered, "Let's show them the nightmare they should have feared from the very beginning." Above, the alien fleet shimmered in the void, unknowingly staring into the abyss of their own miscalculation. And Earth waited, patient, burning, ready. The first strike was a whisper, a shadow moving where no one expected it. Alien warships hung over the ruins of New Chicago, their hulls glinting like shards of dead stars. They scanned the streets, probed the rubble, expected nothing but silence. They were wrong. Down below, the American Boogeyman units moved with a predator's patience. Their boots made no sound against broken concrete, their eyes scanning every corner for weaknesses. Every human was a ghost, but a ghost with purpose, with precision, with a hunger honed through fire and loss. Dr. Elara Voss watched the feed from the Arcadia Tower command hub. Her fingers flew over the holographic interface, monitoring heat signatures and movement patterns. "Sector 7 is active," she said, voice calm but sharp. "Boogeyman units are engaging. Watch the north quadrant, the stragglers there are walking into a trap." Jack Redding stood beside her, leaning over the console. "Let them come. Let them think they're safe." He grinned, the scars on his face catching the flicker of holographic lights. "They're about to find out what humans do when cornered. Not polite protests. Not surrender. Pure chaos." Chaos arrived faster than anyone expected. The first alien patrol vanished without warning. Their sensors reported an anomaly, then nothing. One moment, the squad hovered over a collapsed freeway, rifles poised. The next, the highway exploded inward, concrete buckling, metal twisting, a cloud of debris consuming everything. In the middle of it all, two humans walked away, their movements fluid, eyes unflinching, as though the destruction were nothing more than a gentle breeze. From the tower, Jack whistled. "That's one way to start the day." Elara didn't answer, her eyes glued to the live feed. The Baba Yaga had entered the fray. Faster than thought, she moved through the wreckage, slicing, leaping, striking with unnatural precision. Alien patrols never saw her coming. They never felt her touch before their circuits fried or their armor cracked. One alien, tall, six-limbed, and venomous, tried to raise an alarm, only to have her blade sever his vocal module mid-sentence. Silence followed, broken only by the distant thrum of warships above. Jack smirked. "She's beautiful in the way nightmares are beautiful." "Elara," a soldier's voice crackled over the calm. "We've got multiple bogies incoming from the east. They're moving fast." "Good," she replied. "Let them. Feed them into the maze." Jack stepped outside onto the rubble-strewn street. He could feel the pulse of the city, the tension, the fear, the anger of billions now concentrated in the few who had survived. Humans had become something else entirely, not just soldiers, but embodiments of vengeance, fury refined into lethal form. He exhaled slowly. "Let's remind them what it feels like to be hunted by the hunted." The alien reinforcements arrived in a wave, ships swooping down with calculated precision, automated drones pouring into the streets, weapons charged. But they weren't prepared for human unpredictability. Every attack, every tactic, every maneuver they had rehearsed crumbled against instinct and improvisation. The Boogeyman units melted into shadows, drawing patrols into traps. Mines rigged to explode with delayed precision, improvised plasma charges, even broken debris wielded like weapons. Every element of the ruined city became a tool of terror. Jack watched as drones fell, first in ones, then in clusters, each explosion a testament to human ingenuity. One drone's AI attempted to adapt, predicting human movement based on previous patterns. It failed spectacularly. A boogeyman appeared where no one should have been, her hands gripping the drone's chassis before it could react. Sparks flew, circuits fried, and the drone collapsed in a heap, useless, while the human vanished into the rubble like smoke. Jack laughed aloud, loud enough to carry through the shattered streets. "That's right, you math-loving bastards! You can calculate everything, except the thing you never imagined, human chaos." Elara allowed herself a brief smile. "And don't forget," she said, "the Baba Yaga is just getting started." The Baba Yaga moved next, a blur of motion and menace. She struck from angles no one could anticipate, her movements almost preternatural. One alien officer, trying to coordinate a counterattack, was torn from his command platform in seconds. His screams were cut short by the precision of her blade. Another patrol, attempting to regroup, found their path blocked by debris that fell on cue, rigged remotely by humans months before. "They're ghosts," whispered a soldier over comms. "Impossible to hit." Jack stepped over the body of a downed drone, the smell of scorched circuitry in the air. "Not ghosts," he said. "Hunters. And your prey." From above, the alien ships scrambled, their orbital weapons firing in desperation. Lasers cut into ruined streets, missiles detonated in midair, but the humans had anticipated this. Electromagnetic pulses, small but perfectly timed, fried targeting systems. Smoke grenades, debris, and homemade explosives masked movements. Every advantage the aliens had, humans had turned against them. "Elara, the North Quadrant, deploy the secondary units," Jack ordered. "Make it a funnel. No one gets out without paying." She nodded, tapping sequences into the console. The city became a chessboard. Humans moved like pieces with lethal freedom, herding the aliens into traps, isolating them, dismantling their coordination. And then came the whispers. Over comms, intercepted signals, and hacked AI transmissions, aliens reported in panic. They are everywhere. They anticipate, they adapt." Jack's grin widened. "Good. Let them know the truth. Humans aren't just survivors. We're everything you feared." Every story, every nightmare, every legend, made real and angry. The battlefield below became a symphony of calculated terror. Fires lit alleys like torchlight, shadows of humans darted between explosions, and every alien force that thought it was superior found itself cornered, hunted, humiliated. A final pulse of missiles fell from the sky, desperate, uncoordinated. A boogeyman leapt into the air, catching one in mid-flight, turning it into debris that rained down on the next wave. Another drone tried to take cover, only to be ensnared in a trap set weeks ago, a cage of broken girders and molten steel. Jack surveyed the carnage, voice low but fierce. "Tell me again why they thought they could kill us." Alara's gaze was icy. "Because every empire believes in its calculations. Every invader thinks its technology and numbers make it untouchable. They didn't account for what humans do with pain, anger, and desperation." Below, the boogeyman units disappeared into the smoke, leaving a trail of chaos, a nightmare imprinted on alien minds. The Baba Yaga returned, dragging the last of the active patrols into the shadows, leaving nothing but silence and fear. Jack exhaled, cigarette forgotten in his hand. "And this," he said, voice almost reverent, "is just the beginning." The aliens had underestimated us. They had killed billions, thinking humanity would bow. But now, in the ruined streets of New Chicago, in the shadows of what remained of their conquest, they realized the truth. Humans weren't just survivors. Humans were predators. And the galaxy was about to learn, in the most terrifying way imaginable, what that meant. The alien fleet had learned fear, but not yet respect. They scrambled across the skies, their formations jittering as if the void itself mocked their calculations. Jack Redding watched from the Arcadia Tower, eyes narrowed, cigarette forgotten. The city beneath him burned in pockets, corridors of ruin guiding the movement of his troops like a deadly river. "Jack," Alara said, her voice steady but tinged with satisfaction. "They're attempting to regroup. Sector 6 is moving toward the central command hub. Their AI thinks it's adapting." Jack smirked. "Adapting is easy when you follow rules. But we don't play by rules." He leaned over the console, watching the feed of boogeyman units slipping through collapsed streets, dragging alien patrols into preset traps, collapsing bridges on command, turning every alley into a death sentence. "We improvise. We exploit. We survive, and then we strike back." Alara's fingers moved quickly across the holographic interface. "Ready for the loop?" Jack's grin widened. "Let's blow their calculations to hell." The survival loop wasn't just a weapon. It was a promise of pain, a testament to human ingenuity and patience. Every street, every building, every fragment of Earth's ruined infrastructure had been rigged, recalibrated, and synchronized into one orchestrated nightmare. Electromagnetic pulses waited for optimal impact, rigged buildings were ready to collapse, and every human in the field had mapped escape routes with surgical precision. The aliens would find themselves in a trap that wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Every movement they made fed the system, every action they thought clever only tightened the snare. Jack turned to a squad member, a grizzled veteran named Ortiz. "Do you feel it?" Ortiz grinned, toothless but fierce. "Like the calm before we got their empire." Alara's hand hovered over the final release control. "Once this triggers, their AI collapses. Command structures, targeting sequences, navigation, all gone. They'll flail blindly. 30 minutes tops, before they figure out how to reboot. We make it count." Jack's gaze swept over the horizon. Alien warships shimmered like icy predators, oblivious to the storm about to fall upon them. 30 minutes, he muttered. 30 minutes to remind them why humans are the species they should never have underestimated. He pressed the trigger. The city shuddered. Dust and debris cascaded like miniature avalanches, streets buckling in synchronized chaos. Electromagnetic pulses surged through the air, frying sensors, guidance systems, and communication arrays. Alien ships wavered mid-flight, instruments going haywire as the humans trapped consumed their technological advantage. Below, the boogeyman units moved like wraiths, guiding the aliens deeper into collapse zones, turning predictable formations into chaos. Fires flared across ruined streets, collapsing facades creating kill zones. One alien cruiser, attempting evasive maneuvers, slammed into a building rigged to explode, the concussion tossing it like a toy. Its AI emitted panicked bursts of static that sounded almost like screaming. "Ilara," Jack said, voice low, fierce. "They thought they could erase us. Now they're realizing they've just been herded into the slaughterhouse." A screeching transmission broke through the chaos. One alien commander, tentacles quivering, mouth foaming corrosive bile, shouted in disbelief. "Why? Why are you doing this? We calculated every possible resistance, every survival probability." Jack stepped over the debris, leaning close to the monitor. "Because you forgot one thing," he said, voice quiet but cutting. "Humans aren't probabilities. We're consequences. And consequences have teeth." The Baba Yaga emerged from the smoke, a living weapon of terrifying efficiency. She moved faster than thought, tearing through alien ranks like a storm made flesh. Her strikes weren't just lethal, they were theatrical, designed to instill terror. Alien soldiers fled, only to be funneled into preset kill zones. Traps collapsed around them, explosions erupting like fireworks choreographed for maximum carnage. A drone AI, attempting to coordinate the survivors, faltered as a boogeyman slipped behind its sensors and rendered it inoperative. Sparks flew. The drone toppled. Another tried to flee, only to fall into a pit of molten steel rigged weeks earlier. Every reaction the aliens had rehearsed was nullified, every contingency exploited. Jack laughed, a sound harsh and bright over the comms. "Look at them," he said. "Perfect soldiers. Perfect calculations. And yet, completely irrelevant. Because humans adapt. Humans improvise. Humans survive when no one else can." "Ilara," he said, voice dropping to a growl. "Watch this." A massive alien warship, attempting to fire on civilians hidden in ruined sectors, found itself caught in the survival loop's apex. Mines triggered simultaneously along its approach path. EMPs fried navigation circuits, turrets went haywire, and structural collapses triggered chain reactions that ripped the hull apart. The alien commander screamed, first in rage then in sheer panic, as their systems failed completely. "They're finally learning," Ilara whispered. "Pain. Fear. Chaos. And they can't control it." Jack crouched beside her, cigarette glowing in the ruins. "We didn't just survive the purge," he said, voice cold and sharp. "We turned the hunt into a lesson. We took their confidence and strangled it." A comms crackled. A young soldier's voice trembled. "Colonel, the Central Fleet, it's disintegrating. Command nodes are offline. They're trying to flee." Jack smiled, teeth flashing against soot-streaked skin. "Good. Let them run. Let them tell the others. Humanity isn't weak. Humanity isn't predictable. Humanity doesn't play fair. Humanity survives, and it doesn't forgive." Below, the Boogeyman and Baba Yaga units stalked the chaos. Their eyes glinted in the dim fires of a ruined city, mouths curled in grim satisfaction. They were the embodiment of every human fear the aliens had dismissed, every nightmare given flesh and fury. Jack stepped onto a balcony overlooking the devastation. The city itself trembled with the synchronized chaos of the survival loop. Alien ships flailed blindly in orbit, their calculations failing spectacularly. One by one, entire squads disappeared into traps designed months in advance, their screams muted only by the smoke and fire that enveloped them. Ilara's voice was quiet but steady. "We've proven something today. Not just to them, but to ourselves. Humanity doesn't die quietly. Humanity doesn't negotiate under threat. Humanity fights, and when cornered, we destroy everything in our path." Jack exhaled, smoke curling lazily around him. "And if they survive," he said, "they'll remember this. Every calculation, every algorithm, every assumption that said we'd be gone, they'll remember the mistake. And they'll fear it for the rest of their lives." Above, the alien fleet quivered, leaderless, broken, confused. They had expected resistance, yes. But they hadn't expected strategy, instinct, or cruelty dressed in genius. They had underestimated humans, the oldest mistake in the galaxy. Jack turned to watch the Baba Yaga move through the streets. She paused to look at him, eyes blazing. They thought they were gods, he muttered. They were wrong. Elara's hand rested on the control console, her fingers tracing the pulse of the city as it unleashed death with elegant precision. And we've only just begun, she said. Jack lit another cigarette, smoke curling into the black sky. This is what happens when humans fight back, he said. This is what happens when you make the mistake of assuming we're weak. The rest of the galaxy is about to learn it the hard way. Below, chaos reigned, but order lived in the human soldiers. Every explosion, every collapsing street, every panicked alien was a note in a symphony of vengeance. The survival loop had proven its brilliance. Humans had turned their own eradication into a weapon, a lesson, a declaration. And as the fires of New Chicago lit the night, as the aliens flailed in confusion and terror, one truth shone brighter than anything else: humanity would never bow. Humanity would never surrender. Humanity, in all its mess, fury, and brilliance, would endure. And today, it had taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The sky over Earth was a sickly orange, glowing with the fires of ruined cities and the smoldering remnants of alien armadas. The surviving humans moved through the ash and rubble like shadows, silent but unmistakably alive. They were battered, scorched, and bloodied, but they stood. The American Boogeyman units and the Baba Yaga had left nothing to chance. Every alien force that remained had been hunted, cornered, and dismantled. Colonel Jack Redding stepped over a broken drone, its circuits still sparking, a grim trophy of the night's chaos. He looked out over the horizon, where alien ships limped toward orbit, battered and broken, smoke trailing like wounded birds. They'll tell stories about this, he muttered. Stories of humans that couldn't be erased, nightmares dressed as flesh and bone. Dr. Elara Voss approached, her face streaked with ash and sweat. She scanned the city, her gaze lingering on the twisted steel and burning rubble. We survived, she said softly, almost to herself. We survived the purge, and we've turned the hunters into the hunted. Jack lit a cigarette, letting the bitter smoke fill his lungs. Survived? Maybe. Thrived? Hell yes. They thought the purge would end us. They didn't account for what humans do when backed into a corner. They didn't account for anger, grief, and the enjoyment of proving them wrong. Elara smirked faintly. Enjoyment? Jack's grin was sharp. Yes. Enjoyment. Look at them, all of them. Those alien cockroaches spent generations calculating probabilities, measuring our weaknesses, thinking they could reduce us to numbers. And what happened? Every calculation failed. Every expectation betrayed. And they paid for it. The surviving aliens, scattered across the city, crawled through streets littered with the remnants of their arrogance. Some tried to organize, to salvage what they could, but the humans had made certain there was no easy path to recovery. Each step they took, each breath they drew, had been anticipated and countered. Every escape route had been rigged, every command structure neutralized. A young soldier approached Jack, holding a tattered flag, the colors burned and frayed, the symbol of humanity marred but unbroken. Sir, they'll call us monsters, won't they? Jack crouched, eyes meeting the boy's. Good. Let them. Monsters are remembered. Monsters are feared. Monsters aren't erased by a fleet or a plague. Humans endure. He let the words settle, heavy with truth. We're worse than monsters. We're human. And that's enough to terrify anyone foolish enough to think otherwise. Elara walked past, surveying the remnants of a collapsed alien command hub. We've done more than survive, she said, her voice quiet but steady. We've demonstrated something the galaxy hasn't seen in millennia. Humanity isn't just another species. We're a reckoning. She paused, searching for words. The consequence. Jack lit another cigarette, smoke curling lazily into the ruined skyline. They'll remember it. Every calculation, every theory, every prediction that said we'd be gone, They'll remember that night. And every alien in the galaxy will shiver when they whisper the names of the Boogeyman and the Baba Yaga. Names meant to haunt. Names now made real. The Baba Yaga stepped beside Jack, her eyes scanning the horizon. Silent, relentless, she had carved a path of fear through alien forces like a living weapon forged from nightmare. She tilted her head at him, almost questioning, almost amused. Jack smiled faintly. They thought they were gods, he said softly. They weren't. And now they know better. From the remnants of a fallen skyscraper, the surviving humans began gathering, tending to wounds, retrieving the bodies of fallen comrades, and taking stock of the world that remained. Their faces were weary, etched with scars of loss, but their eyes burned with defiance. Every survivor was a statement. Humanity could be battered, but it could not be broken. Above, the alien fleet limped away, their calculations in ruins, their confidence shattered. Some ships attempted to regroup, sending frantic signals, but human interference had corrupted every channel. The once great armada was reduced to a scattering of crippled vessels, unable to organize, unable to retaliate. Jack turned to Alara. Do you think they'll come back? Alara shook her head slowly. They might. They'll send probes, scouts, maybe even another fleet someday. But they'll think twice. Every generation will hear the story of this day, of what happened when they underestimated humans. And that hesitation, that fear, that's ours now. Ortiz, the veteran soldier, approached, carrying a small box of supplies and a makeshift weapon scavenged from alien technology. Sir, what do we do now? Jack exhaled, letting the last embers of his cigarette drift away. Now? He looked around at the survivors, at the ruins, at the sky still tinged with fire. Now we survive. Now we rebuild. And now, we make sure the galaxy knows the cost of underestimating humanity. A young girl, no more than 10, stepped forward from a cluster of survivors, holding a piece of alien tech in her hands. She looked up at Jack, wide-eyed but defiant. Are we really safe? Jack crouched again, placing a hand on her shoulder. Safe? Maybe not. But alive. And alive is enough. Alive means we fight again. Alive means we're here to remind anyone foolish enough to try that humans don't surrender. Alara joined him, her eyes meeting his. We've won this battle, she said softly. But we've also changed. The world we knew is gone. And the humans we've unleashed. Her gaze flickered to the Boogeyman units, silent now, watching, waiting. Might be more than anyone, including us, can control. Jack's eyes swept over the horizon. The fires of New Chicago painted the sky like molten warning, the smoke a reminder of what had been lost, and what had been reclaimed. Control, he said quietly, isn't the point. The point is this: we endured. We struck back. We survived when everything said we shouldn't. That's humanity. That's the truth the galaxy will never forget. A final transmission broke through the chaos, a voice trembling in alien tones, punctuated by static. Humans, you were not supposed to. Jack smiled, low and bitter. Supposed to? That's the first mistake anyone ever makes against us. The Baba Yaga stepped forward, blade resting against her shoulder, and for a moment, silence reigned. The aliens fled, scattered and broken. Humans stood amidst the ruins, victorious, terrifying, and alive. Jack exhaled, letting the smoke drift toward the clouds. We didn't just survive the purge, he muttered. We made sure it was the last time anyone tries to erase humanity without paying the cost. Alara nodded, placing her hand on the console one last time. And they'll remember it. Every calculation, every prediction, every assumption, they'll remember that humans are not just survivors. We're a reckoning. Jack looked at the young soldier who had asked about monsters. Tell them, he said, voice low but firm. We're worse than monsters. We're human. And we'll always fight back. The fires of Earth reflected in the Boogeyman's and Baba Yaga's eyes. The galaxy had learned, in blood and flame, a truth that would echo through every corner of space: humanity could not be erased. Humanity could not be calculated, contained, or predicted. Humanity endured, and humanity would never forgive. Jack took one last look at the horizon, voice almost a whisper. Let the stars,